All right, I'm Kris Wolfe with GoodGuySwag.com, and I'm here with DeVon Franklin, who just spoke at Catalyst West.
Yeah, man. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on here. In case you don't know who DeVon is, let me just give you a little bit of a background. He pretty much runs Hollywood.
If you believe that, you'll believe anything. Not true.
He has some big movies that have come out, and he keeps on moving up. And the second thing is he has 2 books out. And the third thing is he's married to the most beautiful woman in Hollywood. And you will agree with me on that one.
Okay, yeah. I'm not going to argue there.
So Megan Good is DeVon's wife.
Yes.
Who was actually kind of like my teenage crush, by the way. I'm sure she was.
Mine too, right?
Well, let's talk about this book that you have. It's called The Wait.
Yes. It's all about, finding the love of your life and the life you love. And Megan and I wrote the book, and we really wanted to just, dating is so hard.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to put, a manual in place, just drawing from our own experiences about how to date, specifically about how to deal with sex. And, Megan and I waited until marriage for sex, and we wanted to write this book called The Wait to help others understand the value of what that will do in your life, not just in your dating life, but in your life in general when you use that practice.
Okay, so hold on, just for the average guy that's out there and watching, they're like, okay, Megan Good, one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood. DeVon Franklin, who could launch the Oil of Olay men's skincare line.
Crazy.
And you all get together and you decide you're going to wait to have sex.
Yes.
That doesn't make sense to anyone.
It sounds crazy.
How did you all come to this decision?
Because, truthfully, I had already been waiting. And when we got together, she had already been waiting for a little bit of time.
So were you a virgin when you all got married?
No.
Okay,
no. And that's the other misconception.
Yeah.
So many times you think that waiting can only happen if you are a virgin. That's not true.
Right.
There are
Absolutely.
many people who that is not their reality, but they can still decide from this point forward they're going to wait.
Yeah.
So for me, it was that. I decided early on I was going to wait, and then got in high school and dating and didn't wait. And then in my early 20s, I just said, Lord, I just felt convicted that I needed to be the person that I was trying to present to the world, be that person in private.
So in your prime, in your 20s, in Hollywood,
yes.
You decided to make this decision.
Yes.
Okay.
Totally. I know it seems crazy, but it's true.
That's amazing.
And then when Megan and I got together, the thing that was so cool is that she was waiting too.
Really?
So, yeah. So we both had a connection, in addition to just connecting, personality-wise and chemistry-wise. We both had a connection because we both were going for the same thing, which is God's best. And we wanted to also get to know each other.
Yeah.
Too often when you put, sex in the equation, it almost microwaves a relationship. Because you don't really get a chance to know the person. And then if you don't like the person, you're kind of already hooked.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like something that should have been a week. Now you're in it for years.
Yes. And you mentioned that specifically in your book,
Yes.
The Wait. In fact, I have a couple quotes here I just have to pull up here. But one of them that it says we chase that high of instant gratification. We make choices that for many reasons are irresponsible and based on poor reasoning or no reasoning at all.
Yeah.
And it takes time and self-control to take in information, let people reveal their true character.
That's right. It's true.
That's some good stuff, man.
Thank you. No, I love that part of the book, and I love that quote because that's what it is. It's like, that first initial part of dating when you're dating anyone, it's like, oh, everything's great because you don't know them. They don't know you. So you're just like, oh, I love them, and that's good. And then all of a sudden that wears off because that wears off, and then the real person shows up. And then because we're so used to that hit, we dump that person, we go find another person, we get high again, we dump that person, we get another person, and in the process, we lose pieces of ourselves.
Yeah.
So part of the wait is saying, stop, heal, think about what you're doing. What do you really want from life? And are you living a life that's going to allow you to get it?
Dang, man. That's good.
Thank you.
You all been married for
5 years.
5 years now. 5 years in June?
Yes.
And tell me, how has waiting, what has that yielded in your marriage in these 5?
It's yielded a tremendous result because, as being married yourself,
yeah.
you know that being married, so much of it is patience.
Yeah.
So much of it is understanding. And having a foundation of the wait really helped us with that. So that we know, one, we did it God's way, and we feel great about that. And then whenever you get into marriage, you got to look back, okay, how did we start? Okay, great, we can check the box. We started really well. So as we continue to grow, we now have a dynamic that allows for growth because we have allowed sacrifice to be a part of the DNA of our foundation.
Yeah, and you write that too in your book. Sorry, as I'm pounding this, it's going to get me sound, but as you talk about celibacy, you're like, it's not just about the physical. It has more to do with the mental,
Absolutely,
than the physical.
Totally. So much of how we approach life and our success in life comes from how we think about life.
Yeah.
Period. And that's where it lives.
It's mindset.
It's mindset, and it's how you approach it, how you think about it. And so this idea of the weight, it's like, okay, let me build a life of discipline. Let me have a mindset of sacrifice. And when you apply discipline and sacrifice to anything you're pursuing in life, you will be successful.
Yeah.
Because success requires both.
And that's great, because it doesn't matter what age group you are, where you're at in the spectrum, what your faith is. Like there are benefits to waiting. And they're showing that already in studies anyway.
Absolutely. It delayed gratification. There's benefits in it.
You know,
we talk about in the book the whole marshmallow experiment from years ago, and the kids that were able to delay gratification and not choose a second marshmallow or not eat the marshmallow were the ones, when they were followed over time, that ended up being the most successful.
Wow. Well, let's just bring up one last thing, because I know you got to get going here soon. Yeah. We just appreciate your time. But what's your definition of a good guy?
The definition of a good guy is an authentic guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is a guy who does not live in a box of society-defined manhood, but a guy who has enough courage to recycle that box and live out manhood according to his God-given destiny. That's a good guy.
Dude, that's good. You just said recycle that box,
That's
which
right.
means that you just repurpose it.
That's it. That's right. That's what you got to do.
That's awesome. And that was one of the things you talked about at Catalyst. You said, like, be bold and be authentic.
That's right.
Especially in LA.
So important. You have to be who you are. And so many times as men, we try to be who somebody else wants us to be. And we try and live up to a definition of manhood that other people put on us.
That society puts on us.
Totally. Versus, you know what? I'm going to be a man the way I was created to be a man. I'm going to be a man the way that God wants me to be a man.
Yes.
And if that aligns with society says, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. But I'm gonna look at especially when you look at Christ. Christ was the ultimate man.
Yeah.
He was compassionate. He had authority. He had dominion. He was a friend. He was a companion. He embodied all of these things. And as real men, when we can do that, I think that we'll come into greater dimensions of what our manhood is supposed to be.
So good. So good. Well, what else can I say? It's DeVon Franklin right here. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thanks,
DeVon.
Kris.
And if people want to find out some more information from you, how do they
come visit me on my website, DeVonFranklin.com.
DeVonFranklin.com.
Capital VON. FRANKLIN.com, and then I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Same name.
Franklin.
Same name.
Exactly. Same name.
All right, DeVon. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.